But what does that actually mean? Join us for today's show because we're going to talk about just that right here at the Human Resource. Not every organization is unionized, and I get that. I totally understand that. But when we talk about just cause, it absolutely can be applied in the non-union environment. And as I was being trained, and I'm still learning arbitration and the proper techniques to do that. Just cause is a very big part of what we consider when we listen to cases. And I thought, it really wouldn't hurt to talk about that on the podcast, because when we're doing our normal employment decisions, when we're looking and reviewing over performance and different actions and decisions, even in the non-union environment, considering some of the things that we use in identifying just cause could certainly serve you. And I want you to take good notes on this one, because I think you're going to enjoy some of this. Just cause is just a simple way of saying, look, was someone treated fairly? And in a union environment where there's a collective bargaining agreement, those points are specified. I mean, we have to follow the note of whatever was negotiated and put into that CBA. But when there's a non-union environment, we're going by company policies, we're going by handbooks, we're going by practice. And yet we still want to have that underlying understanding that we want to treat people fairly. So when you're an arbitrator, you use what most of us use, the 7 steps of just cause. And these are ways of evaluating what occurred so that we can determine whether a decision was correct or not, and whether we will agree with that decision. And this is very simple. Number 1, was the employee forewarned of the consequences of the actions, of their actions, of what got them to this point? Now, when we're in the non-union environment, we're always saying, look, are you talking to employees and showing them the policy that they deviated from? Did you show them their attendance records so that they understand why you're concerned, why you're saying that they've been gone too many times or they've been tardy too many times? Even when you're filling out an unemployment claim, that question is going to come up. Did the employee understand the policy or the practice or procedure that they violated that got them to the termination? Now, if you are not doing this, don't even try to go any further, because you've already broken the number 1 rule. But if you can prove that you have warned and that the employee was fully aware of what was going on, the second question would be then, are the employer's rules related to business efficiency? Meaning, are they practical? Are they realistic? Do they directly have an impact on the company? Now, each of you are going to be a little bit different. Each of you are going to handle that question just a little bit more specific to what you actually do. But be prepared to pull it back. How did this relate to the needs of the business? How did this relate to the operations of the business? Why is this important? Number 3 is, did management investigate the alleged misconduct? Now, I'm not talking about a complete full-blown investigation, but you have to show that you went through the steps to, number 1, verify that what the actual act or violation infraction was, how it affected the policy or procedure that is claimed to have been violated, and make sure that it's factual. Did you ask witnesses? Did you talk to the supervisor? How many times has the individual been told not to do this? Was the person properly trained so that they understand? So don't just jump. Did you try to fix the problem or help the employee fix the problem? How about, was the investigation conducted fairly? Did you go through all the steps, or did you just maybe kind of jump from 1 to 5? Or did you just kind of start it but never quite finished it? You took everything just like hearsay. And did you conduct the investigation the same way you would have for anyone else? Was there a bias? Did you discriminate against someone as you were looking at the facts, or looking for facts, I should say? Number 5 is there substantial evidence of the employee's guilt? Now, if you've got a time clock with multiple late punches, that's very, very factual. That's substantiated. If they stole something and you have it on camera, and you have people witnessed that it was on their social media account that they were selling it, or they tried to sell it to someone else, or they were bragging about it, and you've got statements of that. That's substantiated in multiple ways. But you can't, again, go back and take hearsay. So you absolutely have to make sure, if it's, do you remember the show we did here a couple of weeks ago when we talked about all the different forms of documentation, text messages, emails, voicemail, cameras? It's just amazing how much information you can gain if you really look for it. Number 6, were the rules applied without discrimination? Now, I've already used the word bias once in this conversation, but you have to be absolutely sure. And this is why I always say, get 2 heads involved in this. Make sure that you've got 2 people evaluating everything that's in the details of this. So if you've got a supervisor, make sure that his manager is looking over his notes, that he's asking some of the questions, he's collecting some of the data, and then run it through HR as your 3rd set of eyes. But make sure that you're treating everyone fairly and that you're not using that unconscious bias just because you don't like the person, or you don't like the way they do their hair, or you don't like their accent, or whatever else might be involved. And then, of course, number 7, is the discipline appropriate for the offense and the employee's history? And I once had an attorney who looked at me and said, look, that we're dealing with a minority, so let's give them a second chance. Let's be even more favorable to this individual. And in today's world, that was probably 15 years ago. In today's world, that can almost get you into trouble. You have to understand that everyone has to be treated equally. We just talked a couple shows ago about discrimination based on national origin. So if we show more favor towards a individual of a different national origin than an American white, that literally could be a discrimination all to itself. So if you're coming down to what is appropriate, again, look at your history. What do you traditionally do? What does your policy say that you should do? Is your policy still effective? And then if you need to, run it through legal counsel. Please, especially if it's under a CBA, run it by your legal counsel and make sure that you're following those negotiations clearly and appropriately. Because at one time or another, no matter, you can't escape this. You're going to have to be accountable to that. And even if you're a non-union environment, you're going to be held accountable to proving that your decision to terminate someone, separate someone, demote someone is just cause. So a great lesson from my instructors of arbitration that I hope you yourselves in your non-union environments will apply as well. Because we should be doing things for all the right reasons, right? So let's start today. And I want to take a real quick message to say thank you so much again for listening. We found out the other day from Buzzsprout that in 2025 we had 55 different countries listening to us. And that really makes us feel good. Thank you again. And send in your questions right here at the Human Resource.